Shame, integration, and compassion. One of the things that happens with trauma is that we disconnect from ourselves, our sense of value, and from the present moment. As we're working with that, it gives us a lot of opportunities to feel into what is it that's causing the disconnection. So, part of it is that we store trauma in our body. We store it as sensations and energies with associated memories and thoughts. And one of the sensations or energies that gets stored in our body along with thoughts is shame. So when we have an experience where we're hurt or betrayed or disappointed, or there's something going on that's hard, oftentimes we'll try to explain that to ourselves somehow. And as a child, we don't have the capacity or the brain development, but also children are not encouraged to be savvy about how their parents are operating in the world, or how the conditioning of the world, the systemic oppression, all of those things work. That's not something that we understand when we're 5 years old, when we're developing these beliefs about the world. So we can look now as an adult and we can look back at our environment, and without any sense of blaming parents or other people, caregivers, we can really look in a wider perspective and see, given the pressures that people were under, and given that our parents are also human beings who are doing the best that they could, it doesn't take away the fact that a lot of what happened was far from ideal. A lot of it was quite harmful when we were children. And some of that was in our home, and some of that was in schools, some of that's out in society. But here we are now with this complex stew of experiences and with a nervous system that's really highly motivated to keep us alive and keep us safe. And one of the ways it does that is it has the negativity bias. So it's always looking for trouble. Is this going to be harmful? Is that going to be harmful? And a lot of that doesn't happen in the conscious mind, it happens in our unconscious mind. So, how could we work with that, knowing that this is our system? We store trauma in our body partly through sensations and also partly through habits. So, if we have had a lot of tension in our body, that tight neck and upper back, and now we're getting into these relaxation practices and we're getting some movement there, that opens up some possibilities for us for sure. We can enjoy being in our body a little bit more. And also, what happens then is some of the stored trauma starts to surface. We have an opportunity to see what happened to me personally as a teenager. I never would have thought that that was traumatic, although now looking back on it, I go, "Oh, wow, yeah, that was awful." If we don't identify accurately, then it's hard to heal. That's kind of a broader context for our exploration today. Let's come into what's happening for you right now, hearing those words, whatever was happening as you were coming into the practice, whatever's happening generally in your life right now. There are a lot of factors that influence how we experience this moment. And maybe you could start with noticing the tightest part of your body and allowing that to soften a bit with just with your attention. So for some people that will be mouth and jaw, neck and shoulders, upper back is another very common one. We could lift our shoulders a little on the inhale, release on the exhale, move around a bit, move your lower jaw around a bit. And notice what it feels like to take a few deeper breaths. Our breath is one of the really major signals of safety. If we're breathing kind of smooth and diaphragmatically, if we're holding our breath, it's a different signal. Really natural for us to hold our breath if we're feeling like we're in trouble or there's some kind of threat. Children often develop chest breathing habits by the time they're just entering school, and school is a pretty difficult experience for many children as well. So we have these habits in our body of hypervigilance. We're ready to protect ourselves fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And one of the ways that shows up is in our breath. So it can be a little bit tender to turn our attention to our breath. And it can also be very affirming of our safety right now. Right now, in this moment, is it safe to breathe, to take a deeper breath? And we want to feel the answer to that in our body. Our conscious mind is going to go, yeah, of course. Don't be an idiot, maybe even if you have an inner critic. So, what's the answer in our body, though? Just work with that for a bit. Notice when you breathe in and then you breathe out. Notice if there's a continuity to your breath. You don't have to do big inhale and exhale. It could be quite quiet and subtle. Just notice if you're holding your breath or if your breath could move more freely. And sometimes it feels too intense to focus on the stomach area. So you could focus on the sensations of air in the nose. You could allow your body to soften as you breathe out. That could also be a very helpful focus. And notice if your mind is busy with a lot of things or if it's fairly settled. It might be in a shutdown or a freeze state, or it might be more of a calm stillness. Notice what's happening in terms of the energy of your mind. Sometimes we have a lot of images come into the mind, especially as we're kind of softening into the experience in our body. And it's always okay to pause, work with the images that come up. Sometimes tapping on the forehead is enough to bring our attention back to the reality that we're here in this moment with whatever it is that's going on. With persistent images, it's often helpful to open our eyes, put the image as though it's in a frame on the other side of the room. Notice that you're looking at something that's a distance away from you, it's an image. We're letting the brain know that this isn't happening right in this moment. What's happening in this moment is that an image has come up. We're not back in the time or in that experience. It might be catastrophic thinking. We might be thinking ahead to worst case scenarios. It might be a flashback. There's all kinds of things that the mind does to alert us to what's going on. You could take your eyes from the image to the space on the outside of the frame, take your eyes around a couple of times in one direction. Just noticing there's an image in a frame and we're taking our eyes around the empty space on the outside. Then go in the other direction. And then when we finish doing that, we can look back at the image and it's a little bit more clear to our unconscious mind and to the body and the nervous system that that's an image. And we might do that over and over. Some images are very persistent. But if it feels okay to come back to your breath and to your body, notice now what your experience is in your body. Notice how it feels to breathe. Notice the continuity of your breath. Notice the space that your body is in and what's happening in that space. There's sensations, energy. Some of them are physical, some of them are emotional, energetic. In our stomach area, we might have a feeling of hunger or we're digesting a meal. We also might have a feeling of anxiety or butterflies or excitement. With this slowing down, we're able to be a little bit more present. If there's something that needs our attention, we could offer our attention. Notice if there's any aggression towards yourself. I shouldn't be having this experience. I should be able to not have catastrophic thinking, or That happened a long time ago. I shouldn't be so upset. Or maybe that's not here at all. And there's just a lot of intensity of something that's going on right now. But whatever it is that your experience is, see if you could open to allowing it to be here without any commentary or judging. Let your body soften a little bit more. Maybe bring your hands to your heart if you're feeling like there would be some benefit to that connection. Feel the warmth, the support. Whether we are enjoying what's happening right now or whether it's really distressing, we could still be open to accepting that this is the experience right now and to offer ourselves some comfort. Sometimes life is really difficult, and that's especially when we need that comfort, that connection, our own compassionate, attuned empathy. We need to be in a bit of a steady state, not in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, in order to feel that connection, to offer ourselves that compassion. Letting everything else move to the background. See if you could really offer yourself this wholehearted welcome. I don't have to put pressure on myself to handle things a certain way or to have a certain experience. I could be here and support myself in what's here. And sometimes emotion comes up, especially in our heart center. In a way, we can manage the intensity of that. We can bring it in more, bring it in closer, and allow ourselves to feel the sensations, to notice what is moving in and out right now. And other times we can open our eyes and look around and, like, no, I need to pull back a little bit from that. It's too much right now. And all of that is fine. We can bring it in a little bit closer and then we can take a step back. Maybe we might do some longer exhale breathing, some 2 to 1 breathing. Bring your attention to the breath in your nostrils or perhaps in your stomach area, that movement of our body as we breathe. And without getting into too much volume or changing the amount of breath right at the beginning, just notice, what does it feel like to breathe in whatever amount you're breathing in, and then to breathe out and let it go a little bit longer on the out breath. And when we're breathing diaphragmatically, what that feels like in the body is our belly softens as we're finishing the out breath. And then the smoother, softer muscles expand and lengthen as we breathe in. And as we breathe out, we have that softening again. And we might notice thoughts are coming into the mind. We might notice there's parts of our body that are softening a bit, or maybe we've gathered some tension again in our upper back. We could soften and release that a bit more. We're offering ourselves our own kind attention. And one of the ways we might work with that as well is, what would your connection be, or how would you connect with or soothe a younger person who's feeling really distressed? It could be our own younger self. It could be, right now, I'm feeling really distressed, and how could I comfort myself? One of the hardest things is when we feel like we're all on our own, especially as a child, but adults feel that as well. We could allow ourselves to have the experience that I'm here, I'm working with my breath, I'm letting my body soften. If my mind goes off into something else, I can bring it back. I might notice it right away, it might be a little while. This is reliable. I can bring myself back. And especially if there's any feelings of I've done something wrong or I'm not good enough or I wish something was different, we could allow ourselves some compassion around that. Come back into this somatic awareness of my breath, my body, all of the energies and sensations. And that for the next couple of minutes, I'm really going to focus in on noticing my breath and allowing that softening as I breathe out. We could soften through the whole back body, the back of the head and neck, the muscles of the upper back. Let go of any bracing or holding. We could soften through the face, forehead, eyebrows, and eyes, mouth and jaw, the throat, the tongue. Notice sensations of air as it comes in through the nostrils into the throat. It's a bit cooler, and then the warm air as we exhale. Notice the muscles of the chest cover the heart center, and the movement of our body with the breath, stomach area. Notice your arms, your legs, your whole body from head to toes. We're aware that we're offering ourselves this practice. We've come to do a practice of everything we could have been doing, that we're here. And we could offer ourselves our love, our connection, patience, compassion. We could be here with ourselves.